for a sibling.
Our son has asked for a little brother. I'd love to have a bunk bed in my room, and then I can be on the top bunk and he can be on the lower bunk. And then we go to the park and I'll be on my scooter and he'll be on the bicycle. And it will be just so great to not be alone.
Lou is 37 and says she'd love to have another kid, but she's not sure her family can afford it. Before her son qualified for the city's free preschool programs for 3- and 4-year-olds, they paid as much as $3,000 a month for childcare. She's now an organizer for New Yorkers United for Childcare.
So we've made some really tough decisions in order to have childcare so we can work, so we can raise our family here. If we had not gotten that 3K seat, we probably wouldn't still be here.
Her family went into debt and opted out of health insurance to afford it. She doesn't want to go through that again. But her family math could start to look different soon. Earlier this year, Mayor Mamdani made a big announcement just about a mile away from where Lou lives in Flatbush.
Today, we take one step to realizing a city where every New Yorker, every family, every child can afford to keep calling it their home.
Mamdani and Governor Hochul will roll out free care for about 2,000 2-year-olds in September, eventually growing the program to 12,000 toddlers next year. That would save families a whole year of paying for childcare. Paula Rodelas is one of the parents hoping the city brings the 2K program to her neighborhood in Bushwick.
I think it's a huge thing. I think it's almost somewhere in between where it's not making me be okay, time to start trying now. Let's go. And let's start to have the second kid. But it is a huge, huge, huge thing to add on the pro column.
Rodelas is currently fostering a 1-year-old who she plans to adopt with her partner.
I think we'd always envisioned having 2 kids.
She's trying to figure out how to make all the pieces of the puzzle fit. As a foster parent, she has a voucher to cover the costs of childcare. But once they adopt, they'll be responsible for the cost, about $1,200 a month. So does she wait for her 1-year-old to qualify for 3K before trying for a second? Will she even be able to afford childcare for her son once she adopts him? And she's up against her own timeline. At 38 years old, she knows it'll be harder to get pregnant the older she gets.
It really should be now or never. I don't know if I could wait 3 or 5 years, but at the same time, it's well, if we can't afford it, then we can't afford it. But maybe if 2K really expands to this neighborhood, ideally if it expands so that it can there could be those after care hours, that would be a huge help.
The city's 3K and pre-K programs are free until 2 p.m., so parents have to pay extra for their kids to stay after school and find private summer programs, which can cost thousands of dollars. It's why some parents have to leave the workforce, like 44-year-old Silvia Silverio.
Fue difícil al principio porque estamos acostumbrados a trabajar.
Silverio says it was hard at first to stop working, but after she gave birth 6 months ago to her 4th child, paying for childcare would have been more than her entire paycheck cleaning homes. Silverio lives on Staten Island, which will not be included in the initial 2K rollout, but will have seats in 2027 when her son turns 2. She says she doesn't want any more kids, but she does want to be able to return to work sooner. About a third of women leave the workforce in New York City because of childcare.
Willoughby, Wallaby, Wharton.
Martin.
Back in Flatbush, Lou lets me ask her 4-year-old, Asher, what he thinks about growing his family.
I don't want to be alone.
And what kinds of things would you like to do if you had a brother?
Play.
Like what?
Video games.
He's already decided his brother would be named Max. And if it's a girl,
I guess Max would be a girl name too.
No. And the girl name is Susan.
Karen Yee, WNYC News.
Okay. Well, thank you, Asher, for talking to me. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
WNYC is supported by Neon, presenting The Christophers, the new film from director Steven Soderbergh and writer Ed Solomon, starring Ian McKellen and Michaela Cole. The Christophers opens April 10th at AMC Lincoln Square and IFC Center.
Anything else you want to say to me? No. It is 6:51. Way to go, Asher. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and then on Morning Edition, UNICEF says the war in the Middle East has displaced more than 1 million children in just 1 month.
That's the consequence of war. The children are the first to suffer and the ones who suffer the most.
That's in about 15 minutes on NPR and WNYC. 49 and partly sunny, slim chance of early afternoon showers. Yes, we'll have more sunshine, warming up to nearly 70 degrees. Give some credit to the southwest wind, nearly 30 miles an hour.
An entirely new oil supply disruption.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance. On the road and at home, customers can simplify their insurance needs and protect what's important by bundling home and auto with Progressive Insurance. Learn more about Progressive and bundling at progressive.com. And by Bison Managed 401k, active advisor management for 401k accounts. The calculator is at powermy401k.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. The latest in the Iran war. Iran says U.S. demands are, quote, excessive and illogical. The fighting continues, and oil prices continue their climb. Brent crude is up 15% in the week since President Trump claimed the U.S. and Iran were talking, something Iran continues to deny. Brent crude is now at $115 a barrel, and some of that is down to new potential disruptions to oil supply. Marketplace's Nova Safo has that.
Yemen's Houthi rebel group, which is backed by Iran, over the weekend fired at Israel for the first time since the conflict started. This is significant in that the group has previously caused trouble through a different global shipping choke point called the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, which essentially connects the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. Saudi Arabia has been diverting some of its oil shipments to that route via an east-west pipeline that now carries about 4.5 to 5 million barrels of oil per day. If the Houthis once again fire at ships crossing the Red Sea Passage, those barrels would have to find another route out of Saudi Arabia, potentially further constraining the global oil supply. That could lift prices even higher than they are now. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
Buried in the ground, along with natural gas, are small amounts of helium. It is extracted and purified along with the natural gas, and a third of the world's supply comes from Qatar and through the Strait of Hormuz. With that supply cut off, shortages are looming for the many industries that need helium. Marketplace's Kaylee Wells reports.
Nick Fitzke orders about $6,000 of liquid helium every 3 months. He's the director of the Magnetic Resonance Facility at Mississippi State University, and he needs the helium because it's extremely cold, as in 450 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit.
Helium is used basically to keep the superconducting coils at the temperature where they can be superconducting. And if they rise above that temperature, then your MRI no longer works.
Semiconductor chip makers need helium too, and it's produced as a byproduct.
It's usually associated with places where they can extract large amounts of natural gas.
And because only a few places do that,
that's why we have this bottleneck right now.
And there's a reason we're only feeling the bottleneck now, about 4 weeks into the war.
It takes about a month to get helium to its destination.
Maura Garvey, who runs IntelliGas Consulting, says restarting production is going to be difficult, even if the strait reopens today.
It's going to take them a few months to get everything back up to speed. That's not going to happen until sometime between June and August.
Garvey says the helium and storage can hold us over until then. I'm Kaylee Wells for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P futures are all up about in the 2 to 0.3% range. The Dow futures up 153 points. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.4%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by GEP. With GEP Key, Agentic AI, and GEP Smart Software, GEP is at the forefront in agentic procurement orchestration and autonomous supply chains. And by Schwab. At Schwab, investors get choices ranging from self-directed investing to full-service wealth management all in one place. Learn more at schwab.com. and by Mercury, business banking and financial software to help entrepreneurs send money, create invoices, pay bills, and more. Learn more at Mercury.com.
Every Monday, my colleague David Brancaccio has been speaking with experts focused on mitigating the existential threats that our world faces. Today, a conversation with Sonia Amadei, a professor at Helsinki University and the director of the Center for the Study of Existential Risk at the University of Cambridge. Here's David.
Thank you. It's a delight to be here.
I appreciate some of the challenges that the center studies: nuclear, climate, bioweapons, biomistakes, unbridled artificial intelligence. I mean, we have the means to destroy civilization, if not the human race now. How do you frame the work that you do at the center?
We've always had that idea that we analyze existential risks. Those are the ones that would threaten all of human civilization, where there might not be even a start over for the human species. As well, global catastrophic risk, which means, well, maybe something like 90% of people would be killed in some kind of a mass event. But what we really are trying to add to that now is to mitigate existential risk so that we're action-oriented and not only publishing nice research papers, we're looking for ways to mitigate.
Yeah, I was struck by a statement in some of the center's materials that among the things you try to do is convene unexpected alliances to mitigate catastrophe. What is that about?
So one unexpected alliance is looking at how we can do work to better understand the actual risks of nuclear energy versus the ongoing use of fossil fuels and carbon-intensive fuels, especially now that energy sovereignty and energy security are really topical. So that means collaborating here at Cambridge with the Center that's for Nuclear Energy, or the nuclear engineering group, so to speak. And then just to continue on that, we're in arts and humanities, but many of our researchers cross into social science and even the natural sciences.
I mean, you mentioned you want to keep it focused on solutions, options, approaches so that we don't retreat into our caves in despair. I mean, that's the key here, right? Reminding people that this is not inevitable if we try to bear down on some of these issues.
It does sometimes seem as though global outcomes are inevitable from an individual perspective, because it's very hard for any of us to have that leverage to make that kind of a change we might like to make. In a way, I think it's simple that if we could bring the world back to the idea of right before might, then at least we're building the basics for the kind of relationships that can, in a fractal pattern from the micro to the macro, can try to regrow the type of civil society that can concretely and squarely address these existential risks we're now facing.
Sonia Amadei is the director of the Center for the Study of Existential Risk at Cambridge University in Britain. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure talking to you.
All of our existential threat interviews are available online at marketplace.org. In New York, I'm Sabri Ben-Achour with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.